Alright, so you guys want to know about the one other gaming urban legend that's like still like going around today besides ET? It's about Polybius. Now, if you guys remember, I talked about this game on Gaming Conspiracy Theories like right when it came out. So, as you guys know, Gaming Conspiracy Theories is now discontinued and canceled. But I still can't get over this. And when the AVGM posted a Polybius review, I had to watch it. I didn't watch the whole thing though because it's 22 minutes and I was in school. But luckily, the game theorists have a 9-minute version of Polybius, like actually covering the theory and all this. So I'm going to react to this because I haven't seen this in like forever, so I completely forgot what it really where it was. And today in lunch I was watching footage of the game and it really messed up my vision. So like it was the patterns in the game and all that. I'll put a link down in the description for some footage of the game or the supposed game, because some people say this game doesn't even exist. Supposedly, it was released in 1981 in Portland, Oregon only. It didn't get to anywhere else in the world, or anywhere else in the U.S., or anywhere else in Oregon. So, yeah, it's by far one of the scariest gaming theories or like urban legends ever that I've ever heard of. So, since I don't really remember this video, let's go ahead and watch it.
1981, Portland, Oregon. A mysterious arcade cabinet appears in the corner of a local arcade. The game becomes popular and fights break out over who will play next.
Seriously? Fights broke out over Polybius? Wow. If only people knew that it would, make them, have nightmares and all that. And, like, I don't know, have seizures and all that. But that's pretty crazy. It must have been a really good game. That is, if it did exist. Also, the voice that MatPat put at this beginning of the video just gives me the chills. I'm dead serious. It just gives me the chills.
Unidentified men visit the machine, collect data, and leave without speaking to anyone. Players begin to have terrifying nightmares, insomnia, and memory loss. Some even commit suicide. The game vanishes months later and is never seen again.
Alright, intro time.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that 10 out of 10 doctors agree they don't watch. The story of Polybius is perhaps the biggest unsolved mystery in gaming. An evil arcade cabinet that drove its players crazy, being used by shadowy men to brainwash unsuspecting gamers using bright colors and subliminal messages. It seems far-fetched, and as a result, most journalists write it off as being just an urban legend or some glitchy prototype of the Atari game Tempest. However, their judgments are based on the fact that no hard physical evidence of the game exists. Instead, I propose
Exactly what most people say. The game itself just doesn't exist. So why are we believing in this? I don't know. The only way to find out about this is when time travel is possible, go back in time to Portland, Oregon in 1981 and see it for yourself. That's the only way we're going to be able to prove any of these things true.
turning the Polybius myth on its head and looking at its anecdotal evidence. Is there a history of real-life men in black running brainwashing tests on unsuspecting civilians? Can a video game cause intense side effects like insomnia and memory loss?
Well, of course it can. I mean, it's a video game. Like, people play these for hours and hours and hours. Somebody died of playing this for 23 hours in a coffee bar in China. So it can do much worse things than that.
And ultimately, why would a demonic machine like this just disappear? I warn you, dear theorists, that my findings may be the single most disturbing revelation that this show has ever...
It's the random
The
snow.
aftermath of World War II, as the US and Russia fought to become the world's dominant superpower, the US government instituted what was known as Operation Paperclip, a covert operation to recruit top Nazi scientists, many of whom had studied brainwashing and torture, some who had even been prosecuted as war criminals. With their help, the US began researching mind control and behavior modification techniques under various code names: Project Artichoke, Project Bluebird, and perhaps the most troubling, MK Ultra. I would make a joke.
Okay, so when I did see this video before, I remember MK Ultra, but I don't remember it. Although I didn't even remember this part about the Nazis. Like, come on. Remember, you guys remember how I got called a Nazi last year like crazy? Well, I'm still getting called one today, and I'm very smart. So what if... Let's not get into that.
Here about this being a prequel installment for the Mortal Kombat universe, but the work of these agents was nothing to laugh about, because MK Ultra was a covert operation performed on unsuspecting citizens of the US and Canada.
Okay, this part just does not make sense at all. Like, I can't even explain it. That's how much it doesn't make sense. So it was an experiment somehow having to deal with Mortal Kombat as a prequel release 40 years before the game came out. And it's like, what? And also, the what was with the paperclip thing? No, I do not want that annoying thing to be brought back.
Beginning in 1953, using front organizations like prisons,
CIA infiltrated 17 area groups, gave out LSD. So this was an experiment, but I didn't know LSD was involved.
hospitals, and universities, the CIA began subjecting civilians to psychotropic drugs like LSD in an attempt to unlock the secrets of brainwashing and develop the perfect truth serum. For example, the CIA set up whorehouses where they secretly drugged horny men before watching their behaviors behind one-way mirrors. In a joke that writes itself, the mission was named Operation Midnight Climb.
But seriously, why would they do this? Once again, it's just for an experiment. That's all they're doing this for. But what does any of this have to do with Polybius? Well, just let's keep watching and see if MatPat explains anything as to this, having anything to do with Polybius.
IMAX. But not all of their operations were so rife with comedy. One mental patient in Kentucky was given daily doses of LSD for half a year. Then there's the work of Dr. Ewan Cameron, who put patients with minor depression and anxiety issues into drug-induced comas, where he tried to brainwash them using tape-recorded messages. Horrific?
Yes, that's very horrific. In fact, these experiments I heard in another video, I'm not sure what. Oh yeah, it was Nico BBQ's video about Polybius. Click the card to see that. But it was about like brainwashing experience that were like just kept going on in like the 60s and all that. It like 50s and 60s. It's so weird and like paranormal.
Yes, making it all the more important to note that during this work of Dr. Ewan Cameron, who put patients with minor depression and anxiety issues into drug-induced comas, where he tried to brainwash them using tape-recorded messages. Horrific? Yes, making it all the more important to note that during this time, Dr. Cameron was selected to serve as president of the World Psychiatric Association. And even though this happened between the 50s and 70s, the stories continue to come out. In 2009, documents were uncovered suggesting that a mass psychotic outbreak in the French village of Pont-Saint-Esprit originally blamed...
Okay, how does a random psychotic outbreak just randomly happen? Did like people in France just start going all psycho just randomly? Why would they do that? What does any of this have to do with Polybius?
on a bread fungus may have resulted from a massive...
How does a bread fungus cause psychotic tree or whatever it is?
MK Ultra test, and like the Bourne...
So MK Ultra put this fungus in the bread to basically psychoticize France? What does anything have to do with Polybius? What does any of this have to do with that? This is 30 years prior to the release.
Identity, all of this had to stay quiet, like in 1953 when Frank Olson, a U.S. Army biochemist and biological weapons researcher, suddenly quit his job after having moral concerns about their actions. He was found dead a week later. Originally ruled as a suicide from jumping out a window, in 1994, 40 years later, a new autopsy revealed that he had been knocked unconscious prior to being thrown out a 13th story window. Cool story, bro, but what does any of this have to do with Polybius? In November of 1980...
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I've been asking this for like the last 9 minutes. What does any of this have to do with Polybius? Come on, just get to the point. These 4 minutes and 52 seconds were basically just like nothing.
Atari released Battlezone, a vector graphic tank shooter equipped with 3D goggles, making it the first ever virtual reality game. A month later, the US Army contacted Atari to make a special version of that game that could be used to train actual tank gunners. This official partnership...
Well, I guess that's pretty good, actually. Just a game that could actually help our United States military. That's pretty good. And is that Forrest Gump right there? I don't know. It looks like him for some reason. I don't know. I'm probably just going crazy from listening to all this.
Between Atari and the Army occurred just months before Polybius was supposedly unleashed in the arcades of Portland. Not only that...
Okay, so I'm not sure, is that a coincidence or is that not? Like, I feel like based off the way Battlezone looked, it looked very similar to the way Polybius was. Like, the gameplay or something, and like, I don't know, like, it's just the colors and all of it, and the random patterns and lines, like there were unrendered shapes. They look very similar, kinda.
But Ed Rotberg, key programmer for Battlezone, is also said to be the creator of Polybius. Coincidence? Perhaps. But it doesn't stop there. Polybius was described as half maze, half...
I know, everybody should know about this. Every gamer should know about this when you're talking about Polybius. Mention the fact that it was in The Simpsons. When Bart is going to play whatever game is over there, Polybius appears next to it. So, proves that Polybius, I guess, existed, but... I mean, you know, it's The Simpsons. They can predict, like, the future, everything. So, can we really trust this? I'm not sure.
Shooter with spinning colors and flashing lights that became more intense.
Okay, that's actual footage from Polybius. That is what Polybius Level 3 looks like. Level 1 is just, you know, that, but without all those other lines on the outside. Level 2 is like, it's got like a bunch of lines coming at your face with colored like purple rings. That's what I was watching in lunch today that got my vision all messed up. The third level is this, and then the fourth level absolutely goes crazy. You can't even see all this, and then there's like rainbows coming like at you. You'll see it in a couple seconds.
The game went on. This description perfectly mimics an LSD trip, the same drug that MK Ultra was using on civilians.
Now, I've seen what happens with LSD. Apparently, you like start seeing random stuff, so maybe Polybius actually had LSD put in it when it was made. Or made, because some people say this doesn't exist.
LSD causes users to hallucinate radiant colors, crawling geometric patterns, morphing objects, and have the sensation that time is speeding up or slowing
Yeah, Polybius is just LSD simulation.
down. And I know what you're thinking. How could an arcade game...
How does anybody play that without looking away like 30 seconds? Like, that would mess up my vision like crazy. It's actually giving me a headache right now. How would anybody play that? Like, I would just be like, okay, this is too much for my eyes to handle, and I would just walk away. How can anybody play that?
Possibly drug a player, but here's the thing. LSD can be anything, from a liquid, to a pill, to a little breath strip, or even a piece of jello. As part of MK Ultra's attempts to stay unidentified, the CIA literally hired a magician to teach field agents how to slip LSD into the drinks of its targets. In addition, a related project, Project SPAN, had scientists trying to determine if the drug LSD could be used in an aerosol form. If setting up brothels, hospitals, and universities was par for the course, why not an arcade at a time when video games were exploding on the market and had already proven their worth in military training? Finally, we get to the side effects. Night terrors, memory loss, suicide. All of these are symptoms pointing towards post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, which can easily occur from bad LSD trips.
Okay, I've never heard of this disorder, and for one thing, I definitely know I don't have this, because I've never taken LSD before, and I don't think I want to based off all the stuff we're seeing right here. And Winnie the Pooh, good example. Remember the episode when it was like raining like crazy and then his house flooded, and then he had that bad dream about heffalumps and woozles stealing his honey? that would be an LSD trip right here, and it's showing it perfectly right here.
Just take it from one former soldier who was interrogated using this method.
That was a bad trip. The pain was so excruciating, felt like somebody was sticking me with 1,000,000 pins. You know, just everywhere. Oh, it just...
Many speculate that being unprepared for LSD can cause individuals to feel like they're going crazy, that they're starting to lose control of their mind. Young, unsuspecting gamers
Why would it not cause them to lose their mind? I mean, any drug could kind of do that.
easy targets for such ill effects. So all told, MK Ultra explains the Men in Black, the government's connection to video games, the conflicting descriptions of the game itself, and the negative effects felt by the players. The only trick is
once again, you know, heffalumps and woozles, like that dream Winnie the Pooh had, demonstrates that perfectly. So now we know what MK Ultra has to do with this whole entire thing. And then the descriptions of the game obviously would cause players, you know, to go all crazy like that. And then, you know, the government's connection with the game, that it all makes sense now.
With the timing. With the Watergate scandal hot in the news in 1973, the head of the CIA ordered all MK Ultra documents destroyed and the experiments discontinued, a full 7 years before Polybius supposedly hit Portland. However, a misfiling resulted in 20,000 documents surviving the purge, which is how we know about MK Ultra in the first place. But wait a minute. A misfiling resulted in some of the government's darkest secrets coming to light? I don't buy it. And neither does Victor Marchetti, a 14-year CIA veteran who served during this period, quit, and later wrote his own expose, the first book in history the federal government of the United States ever went to court to censor. Victor has gone on the record.
Yeah, how could a misfiling just cause all this? Like, obviously, you know, everybody's got to, like, be organized and, like, you know, stick to the plans. You know, don't misfile that. Like, don't put this, you know, Midnight Climax file into the MK Ultra file. Like, you know, why would they misfile it? Like, that just doesn't make sense.
To say that the CIA closing down MK Ultra was a cover story, a disinformation campaign to distract people from the real tests still happening. I quote, "The real reason for the official secrecy in most instances is not to keep the opposition from knowing what is going on. The enemy usually does know. The basic reason for governmental secrecy is to keep you, the American public, from knowing. For you too are considered the opposition, the enemy."
You know, why would the government want us to know, like, all their deepest secrets? Like, if they just spilled everything about Area 51 out to the public, then, you know, we'd all be going there like crazy. So obviously they'd keep MK Ultra, Midnight Climax, and all this other stuff a secret. So, you know, just a simple misfiling exposes everything. Once again, that does not make sense.
In fact, they can even lie to you about what they are doing or have done, and you will not know it. End quote. And doesn't it make sense that an experiment like Polybius would have no paper trail? Sure, running experiments on unsuspecting civilians is appalling, but administering drugs and subliminal messaging to children? That's indefensible. So Polybius, urban legend or government experiment? I'll let you decide. But remember, it's all just a theory. A
Forgot this is how he ended the video. Alright, well, that was really messed up. Like, Polybius is probably by far the most messed up gaming conspiracy theory ever. And now that I watched this video, do I still believe in it? I don't know. What do you guys think? Please take your vote with the poll. Like, do you think it's an urban legend? Do you think it was a government experiment? Did you think it actually existed? Do you think it did not exist? Otherwise, urban legend being it not existing. So, do I actually think it existed? I don't know. I mean, all this evidence that MatPat brought up is, like, kind of starting to, you know, make me speculate that this arcade cabinet at one point actually did exist. So this might be a little bit this is controversial, but dang, it's, I guess, a good Halloween gaming Halloween sort of thing. So yeah, once again, as I said earlier in the video, check out the AVGN's review of Polybius. He obviously couldn't show any footage because he thinks that the game doesn't exist. So, you know, people can have their own beliefs, but now, you know, I'm kind of in the middle. Like, really, I don't know if this exists or not now. But most of the stuff in this video was just messed up and it just didn't make sense. But then MatPat explained it, and it started to make a little bit of sense, but still, it just doesn't make sense. Like, how does a misfiling of a file of a paper expose everything? What is with this, like, all these drugs experiments and all that? However, the LSD thing, to me, makes sense. So if you don't think it makes sense, well, then watch the video again. I'm not going to do that right now because we're out of time. So don't forget to keep this channel Gamertag, drop a like on something as well, and I will see you guys later for the next one.